from the city of Monmouth, we do have Communications Director Ken Helms. Good morning, Ken.
Good morning.
We also have with us Mayor Rod Davies. Good morning, Mr. Mayor.
Good morning, Vanessa.
And City Administrator Lou Steinbrecher. Good morning, Lou.
Hey, good morning, Vanessa.
Good to see you all. Glad to have you here. First, I want to start out with some news that might make citizens very, very, very happy. That is ground, resurfacing. Roads are happening. Sunny Lane was seeing some of that.
Yeah, we approved that contract last fall, and they were a little late getting going, and weather turned, and so they stopped making asphalt, so we didn't get anything done on the roads last fall as we had hoped to. They did do a lot of the sidewalk work for the ADA accessibility to the streets that we were repairing, and so we're moving along pretty good right now. So they need to be done by the end of June, so hopefully they'll be keep going. There's been quite a few touched already.
Okay. So good resurfacing projects, what you're telling me.
Yes, yeah, and in today's last night's agenda, we also approved a contract with IMEG to resurface North 6th Street between Broadway and Euclid after we get the water main project underground finished. So that was a big project we've been wanting to get done for some time. That will be about we'll wait to see when the bid comes in. Engineered estimate somewhere around $900,000, and we have just over $600,000 of Rebuild Illinois money to cover that. So we'll have to find another $300,000 somewhere, probably from our capital reserve, to finish building 6th Street. And then we're going to be starting pretty soon with the that project on Euclid between 9th Street and 6th Street, the old Brewery Hill there. And so we'll be doing the underground first, and then we'll be doing the road on top too. So those are two projects that have been in the works for quite some time. We've been talking about them for a long time, but the money just got freed up. So we're very happy to get those projects going.
Okay. How was last night's city council meeting?
Oh, it was a good meeting. It wasn't a real busy agenda, but we did do that. Approved that engineering agreement. We also, one of our police and fire commissioners, Robert Spud Riley, has served on the police and fire commission for a number of years, and he decided to retire. And so I appointed Steve Burdett last night to fill that position, and the council approved that appointment. So we appreciate Steve's willingness to serve, and he's been wanting to serve for some time, but we got an opening, so we were able to get him appointed. So that'll be a nice addition.
Okay.
We did have public safety reports that were given too. Started off with Chief Rexroth that gave a report for the fire department. They actually sent one of their newer firefighters, firefighter Paul Mangieri, to a little bit of training last month too. One of it was called RIT Under Fire. That is a very, very intensive and hands-on class. What RIT teams are in the fire service, they're the ones that go in to actually rescue downed or trapped firefighters. So because of the nature of that, the Fire Institute likes to have very, very hot scenarios, different scenarios that require the use of tools while everything's burning to get some real life situations that they might encounter. So it's a awesome class, and MFD's really happy that they were able to send somebody to it to get that completed.
Okay.
And then they also completed hydrant flushing for the year. That's one of the annual programs they do. They kind of alternate between hydrant and flow testing, just so they can get accurate numbers and so they can work out the system. This year they actually did it very, very quickly because of the way the weather was. They didn't have any weather holds. They got that all done, notified all the employers that might be affected by it and the residents, and got that all done. Didn't really have anything major that they had to repair. One of the good things about that program is as they're working the fire hydrants, sometimes they find things that might have went wrong with the hydrant through age. It might be leaking. There might just be valves that have gone bad. So then they work with Woodard and Curran to get that taken care of. So kind of keeps everything nice and healthy there.
Okay.
The fire department has also started doing quite a bit of public outreach, and one of the things that they're doing for the public outreach is they're going to the schools sometimes early in the morning, just interacting with the children on their way into class, saying hi, shaking their hands, different things like that, just to kind of raise awareness that they're there. And then throughout different times, they might go into the classrooms when the teachers, work it into their curriculum to kind of talk about fire service kind of stuff, answer any questions that the kids might have, and it's worked very well.
Yeah, that's a good way to rebuild our recruiting system for firefighters down the road, since we've had troubles trying to get people back involved in being a firefighter or police officer, you name it, nurse. It's we've had a shortage in a lot of important areas. So this is a nice way to be that top of mind that they see first responders, firefighters, right there every day.
Exactly, and it's a great career to get into, either law enforcement or the fire department. Both of them have their own academies that people will go to learn everything that they need to learn to fit those roles. The police department has actually started working with Monmouth Roseville School District and Carl Sandburg College to kind of develop the dual credit. So while the kids are in school and they're taking Sandburg classes in criminal justice education, just so it makes the best fit for if they decide that they do want to pursue a career in law enforcement.
That's another great idea.
It is, and while I got everybody on the air, I guess I'll also throw in a reminder that we're always hiring telecommunicators for dispatch. And telecommunication, that is one of those very, very specialized jobs that we actually want to train you to do. So this doesn't require any prerequisites. You don't need a bachelor's degree. You don't need any of that. We will train you. We'll do it. Has good benefits, good pay, and we're always taking applications for that.
Yes.
So it is shift work, so it's a little bit different than what people are used to, but once they get used to it, they seem to enjoy it.
Okay, good.
And that's pretty much it.
Okay. And Lou Steinbrecher, what do you have this morning?
Yes, the last action item last night with the City Council was they approved a 3-year renewal of the AFSCME contract. AFSCME stands for the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees. They represent the city's dispatchers and the custodial position. And it's a 3-year contract. Typically, most of our union contracts are for a period of 3 years. So it obviously includes some wage adjustments and some other changes to the terms and conditions of the agreement. That had been ratified previously by the union, so that now is in place, and that contract is in effect and through April 30th of 2025. So.
Okay. All right. Anything else on the City Council meeting?
Didn't have anything else on council, but I will say that last Friday, Senator Halpin opened his office over in Galesburg. We went over and visited with him there at the new office on East Main Street in the 100 block. And Senator Halpin notified us that he was able to get $500,000 for the city of Monmouth, which for infrastructure. So we will be using those funds to help fill the hole we had for the Harlem Avenue project. So that will help us finish out the infrastructure underground. And so we're very excited about that. We hope to get that project rolling. We received final notification on CDAP grant that we got, I think it's 2 years ago. They finally got the grant agreement to us this last week after Senator Halpin's help. And so it's been a nice addition having him there, and he's certainly helped us move this Harlem Avenue project forward with the underground.
Okay.
Yeah, Monmouth has actually been pretty fortunate the last few years in getting a number of different grants to help replace these underground. Most of them have been done through the Community Development Block Grant, and that helps get, for the most part, we've been applying them to water mains, the water mains that are well past their service life that we start seeing, a lot of fractures on, different things like that. Last couple of years, the criteria has really adjusted to where it has to meet certain demographics in neighborhoods, low-income neighborhoods, things like that. So they've really been going to a lot of good places at that, and it's just the price to replace this infrastructure is extremely high. For instance, the IMEG agreement that we approved last night, actually, that project initially started out at close to $3 million, but through some very hard work with Woodard & Curran and IMEG, they were able to figure out different ways to get that project through within the budgetary limitations that we had. So we're really happy to have that.
Okay. Got a couple of questions I'd like to ask that have been sent to us from people who just listen and have questions. Lou, it's really probably more for you, I think. So this potential, I don't know what the date is, but there's a gas tax that's going to be initiated here through the state of Illinois. How will that affect us here locally? What will we see the price of gas? And do you have any knowledge or understanding, Mr. Mayor, of how come the gas prices in Monmouth tend to be 20 cents higher than a Galesburg, a Macomb? And maybe you don't know because you're not the owner of the gas stations, but I'm sure you have heard this and seen this. But people are preparing. People like Nancy Mallon at the Jameson Community Center is preparing because of her senior nutrition program and how much the gas will cost her going forward. So Luke, if you could help us with that one piece of legislation.
Yeah, the state gasoline tax, was there was, I guess, I'll call it a forgiveness or a holiday, during the COVID, and now they're just simply reinstituting the state's gas tax that had previously existed. They just during an interim period of time. Particularly with the effect of COVID on the economy and what have you, they kind of just put that in abeyance for some period of time, and it comes back on. I believe it's July 1st.
Is it July 1st?
Yeah,
Okay.
And I don't recall the exact amount off the top of my head, but it's probably I would guess it's probably in that 5 to 10 cent. Per gallon range.
Okay. And does the city receive anything back? There was something about the municipalities not receiving something. They're lowering the amount that the cities were going to receive from the state?
That is in a different tax line,
Okay.
actually. So I think this, with the governor's advance or reinstating the state gas tax, I think those are funds that, again, will be, used primarily on state roads.
Okay.
Some of those funds do come back locally, but they have still not increased our base amount for our motor fuel tax. We've gotten some funds that they called Rebuild Illinois funds, and I think that was from a different pot of money from the federal government that they received, some COVID money that they received for infrastructure that was earmarked for infrastructure. So we did get some of that Rebuild Illinois money, and that's some of the money that we will be using on 6th Street and
Gotcha.
probably Harlem, and we've set those funds aside. What the state has done, and it's kind of a technical, fairly complicated thing. They Illinois has income tax and corporate personal property replacement tax. And they changed the way they allocated those funds. Last year, again, we start getting, I might put my CPA hat and tax preparation, a lot of the funds that they called a pass-through entity tax. In other words, partnerships and S corporations could pay the income tax on behalf of the shareholders or partners and deduct it on the federal return. And the state called those replacement taxes. And so actually the distributions to the units of local government, the city, the park districts, some of the schools, those who receive replacement taxes, library districts, they had some much larger receipts this last year in that line item. During the budget session, and I visited with at the Freezing for Food with Representative Hammond, who's right on top of that as part of her Finance and Budget Committee, said, well, they had changed that pass-through entity tax from replacement tax to income tax. So they're not going to distribute as much of that money to the units of local government. That now has been taken out of the replacement tax, so that gets lowered, so the amount we get is lower, and that goes into the income tax line item. And they keep a larger percentage of the income taxes, and they only pass through a per capita amount to the units of local government. So it will be a significant decline. Our replacement tax more than doubled this last year. And if you help me remember the number, Lou.
I believe they said we'll get about 40% of what we've gotten in the past. So it's gonna have a significant impact on balancing the budget. Probably talking about $200,000-$300,000 a year
To us.
in lost income to the city. So
Yeah, and so the reason, they caught that, and again, they need revenue to help cover their $5 billion trillion, whatever the number was, budget for the state. And so they had some revenue shortfall. They had to bring it back in house.
Okay. All right. Thank you for the explanation. And no idea on gas prices.
The gas prices, again, it isn't because of any local taxes. Ours are actually lower than Galesburg's.
That's what I was wondering. I was trying to make sense of it too.
It's through the distribution centers and the oil jobbers, and that's really through their network of pricing. I don't know if Ken's heard anything different on that, but it's not local taxes. It's through distribution.
Okay.
Yeah, and we've kind of looked into that a little bit because, like you noted, there has been, especially at different times, some pretty significant price discrepancies between us and the regional areas. The only thing that I guess as far as from a numbers perspective that really stands different as far as Monmouth versus, say, Galesburg or Burlington, those kind of things, although that's probably not a great example because that's a different state. But some of these other areas like Macomb, Monmouth does sit right at a convergence point of three major highway arteries that are going through. So if you look at our traffic counts, which are public knowledge through Department of the highways, it's all there, and you can see that our numbers are actually pretty high. So it'd be my guess the supply and demand has a lot to do with that.
Okay.
It's just availability.
Yeah, I just think the important point for listeners to understand is that there are no governmental regulatory authority over setting the price. I mean, we don't control it, nor does the state. That's all set by the private sector.
Yes. Well, and it's not without saying, I think everybody knows that a lot of people don't fill up here. They will go to another city when they're there doing other business or work or whatever to get gas, simply because it can be up to 20 cents cheaper.
Yeah, obviously Iowa's gas tax is significantly lower than Illinois', and I think it's no secret that a number of folks run over to Burlington and fill up, and unfortunately, because then we get the complaints that our local roads don't get taken care of, and so it's nice to have that tax stay home, and we can certainly take care of our own roads too.
Okay. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much, and I hope that you have a good summer, and I'll see you again soon.
All right.
Thanks, Vanessa.
And for those that were listening and you'd like to see Ken Helms' shirt this morning. You can go to our YouTube channel a little bit later, and it'll be up on the YouTube. But he's got a blue heeler. How would you describe that, Ken?
It's a Hawaiian shirt with a blue heeler camouflaged in it. It's my boy.
Is that Quaid?
Yeah, it is.
Did you have this made?
It was a gift, and yes, it was custom made.
That is cool. I did not know you could do that. You could
Yeah.
put your dog's picture on your clothes.
I guess it's on the internet.
That is too cool. All right, thanks a lot. Ken Helms with us, Communications Director Lou Steinbrecher, City Administrator, and Mayor Rod Davies on 1330 WRAM.